Shalom, Yashara Allah, Shalom, Yashara Allah, Kahalo Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. I'm back to you with another straight to the point moment. And again, just adding on to a previous video I did about that Warsaw Pact and the countries involved. All right, you got Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, the Soviet Union, Albania, East Germany, Slovakia, the People's Social Republic of Albania, Latvia, Lithuania, Germany, Ukraine, Soviet Socialist Republic, Belarus, Hungarian People's Republic of Bulgaria, Polish People's Republic, and West Germany. So we got all of Germany, West Germany, and East Germany. All right, well, let's just go to this vid.
Should Germany align itself with the US and NATO, or should it join the Russians through the Warsaw Pact? The US government, under George H.W. Bush, made an offer to Russian President Mikhail Gorbachev. It suggested if Germany became a NATO member, NATO would stop expanding, not 1 inch eastward.
And this is the argument that Putin was saying. Putin was saying, look, for 25 years, slowly the US government has slowly encamped us by snatching up every country and enlisting them as part of NATO to basically build a better standpoint against Russia, to not allow that Iron Curtain of Russia to be reformed again. Because Russia is literally a threat to the United States, these devils over here. But we know that these are the same people, and this is a kingdom divided against each other. All right, let's get that. Mark chapter 3, verse 25. All right. The Russians of today, who are not the original people of that land, which is the land of Magog, they are the Edomite race, as well as the people who have joined into NATO, those powerful heads, and the heads here in the US, those are all part of the Idumean kingdom, the children of Esau. All right, let's get this. It's Mark chapter 3, verse 23. Matter of fact, let's start at verse 22. And the scribes which came down from Jerusalem said, He hath Beelzebub, and by the prince of the devils casteth he out devils. So this is them speaking about Yahushua. Verse 23. And he called them unto him, and said unto them in parables, How can Satan cast out Satan? So this was a parable faced against those who were speaking against them, mainly the Pharisees and Sadducees, all right? Sects of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Verse 24, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. So here do we see that the kingdom of Idumea is divided against itself. So that kingdom shall not stand, but the scriptures reads, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. Verse 26, and if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. Let me read it again. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but hath an end. And that's critical because we see there's an end to all of this, which we living in the latter days. There's an end of the nation of Esau. As mentioned back in Genesis, where Jacob grabbed the heel of Esau, came out with his hand on the heel of Esau. And as the scripture states, this is the ushering in of out of an old kingdom, ushering out an old kingdom, and Jacob is the beginning of that come after it. All right. And just adding on to the Warsaw Pact, man. The Warsaw Pact is.
No new members. Today the US says it made no such promise, that no such deal was ever struck, but hundreds of memos, meeting minutes, and transcripts from US archives indicate otherwise. Nevertheless, Moscow bought the offer. It demolished the Warsaw Pact in the hope that the West would follow suit, that NATO too would be dissolved.
And I want you to see
but
what
that
this
never
encompasses
happened.
with that Warsaw
NATO
Pact.
refused to cease operations, and to add it would be dissolved, but that never happened. NATO refused to cease operations, and to add insult to injury, they kept the door for membership open. Russia saw it as a stab in the back, and NATO kept pushing the dagger deeper. Look at this map. NATO started out with 12 founding members, but since the Soviet Union fell, it has radically expanded eastwards. In 1999, Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic joined NATO. In 2004, there was another wave of expansion. 7 Central and Eastern European nations were made NATO members. Some of them were former Soviet republics. was ever struck, but hundreds of memos,
And those what she said.
meeting minutes, and
Some,
transcripts.
most of them countries were former USSR, Warsaw Pact members. But now, with America moving in and the kingdom divided against itself, Satan divided against itself, you see the end of Esau's kingdom. All praise to the Most High. Call
From U.S. archives indicate otherwise. Nevertheless, Moscow bought the offer.
Look what this
It
encamped,
demol-
man. You see how much land mass that encamped with that Warsaw Pact? So much. So much.
The Warsaw Pact in the hope that the West would follow suit, that NATO too would be dissolved. But that never happened. NATO refused to cease operations. And to add insult to injury, they kept the door for membership open. Russia saw it as a stab in the back, and NATO kept pushing the dagger deeper. Look at this map. NATO started out with 12 founding members, but since the Soviet Union fell, it has
1949.
radically expanded
Remember.
eastwards.
That fake state of Israel was established back in when? It really was established in 1945, but on paper they say 1948. But they had already been making plans since 1942 to establish that, man. All right? So let's just keep going.
1999, Poland, Hungary, the Czech Republic joined NATO. In 2004, there was another wave of expansion. 7 Central and Eastern European nations were
Look at
made
this.
NATO members.
These are all NATO members now, which were once part of the Warsaw Pact.
Some of them were former Soviet republics. In 2009, Albania and Croatia joined NATO. And the most recent entries were Montenegro and North Macedonia, both situated in Russia's backyard. It does not end there. As of 2021, NATO officially recognized 3 more aspiring members: Bosnia and Herzegovina, Georgia, and Ukraine. Last we checked, NATO was also in talks with Sweden, Finland, and Serbia for membership. So to put it simply, much of Eastern Europe, which once used to be part of the Soviet Union, has now joined NATO, and this happened despite Russia's protests and warnings. The last reasonably friendly warning from
I'm gonna stop right there. We're gonna bring this back for another vid, man. 'Cause again, you're watching the kingdom and the nation of Idumea being ripped apart slowly. Slowly, man. All right? Let me go back to Mark 3:25. Verse 26. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand but half an end. And with that, I want to give all praise to Kahalo Yahweh, by Hashem, Hamashiach Yahushua, by Hashem Kakadash, and death to America. Shalom.